Down to Eugene Morgan coming to you from lovely city of Atlanta, Georgia. And Eugene, this past week we had the end of an era here. I do you ever watch Skip and Shannon? Did you ever
Every
watch them
now and then,
on?
I watch them. I'm kind of like everyone else nowadays. I'm catching whatever the trending topic is that Skip said on Twitter or Instagram or or TikTok. Whatever. It's like, okay, what did he say? Okay, let me watch this and see why is everyone freaking out. But yeah, that's usually where how I consume it more. Or like I know we were talking. Sometimes I'll catch like the last little bit because I like to watch. I've been watching him switch between Pat and Colin Cowherd. Um,
Yes,
so
yes.
so sometimes I'll catch like the last few minutes because I'm flipping to I think it's FS1 or whatever the Fox one of the Fox channels that they're on, and I'll catch
Mhm.
like the last 5 or 10 minutes because I'll get I'm trying to queue up Colin Cowherd show, so I consume a little bit that way.
I've been a big fan of Skips for a long time. On the various shows he's been on, I think that as of late, I wouldn't say I've soured on it, but he's become a big narrative guy. Like a lot of these sports announcers that I've listened to, or sports writers, broadcasters that I've listened to in the past. The gold standard's always been Michael Wilbon. I have Skip on the screen right now. We're going to kind of go through.
Mm-hmm.
I was wiki pulled up so we can go through things. I don't sound like an idiot talking about his career here. We have it here right in front of us. So we'll go through that in a little bit. But I couldn't help but want to start with a picture of Michael Wilbon up here because he's like gold standard for me, especially. I don't know if it's just being a black guy who's aspiring to do these type of things, but Michael
Mm-hmm.
Wilbon has been gold standard for so long. Him and Kornheiser on PTI has been probably the
Right.
longest watched show that I watched. I feel like I've been watching that most of my life at this
Yeah,
point of the game.
I
I've been
know.
watching Michael Wilbon and Kornheiser on PTI. Did you ever check them out?
Oh yeah, we like that used to be right when the heydays of ESPN started. When I legit used to watch uh uh Around the Horn, PTI, and then go our in Sports Center. Man, I used to be, that's my single days, and how didn't have the kids, didn't have the wife, yelling at me to stop watching sports. I used to watch them every. It used to be when I got home from work, man, to catch the that would be my everyday routine.
you know, I really the difference I think for me watching that show versus watching first take days, which we'll discuss, and the undisputed days with Skip is Skip has been excellent to watch. I've been watching Skip since Cold Pizza when he was on with Jay and Woody Page when
Uh-huh.
he was on there with them, and then I think it went to like they had like a first and 10 segment on there. I used to watch, used to love watching that. And then, of course, Cold Pizza was rebranded as First Take. And the rest is history. It's off into the stratosphere
Right.
at that point, as far as popularity goes. But the reason I've kind of soured on it now is Skip and a lot of sports writers that become very popular. They become narrative guys.
Hmm.
So let me give you an explanation on that. Um, it's a situation where you kind of know what he's going to say. So if they were to bring up Tim Tebow, Tom Brady, the Dallas Cowboys, you kind of know what he's going to say. He'll kind of pick and choose games. He'll go back in years for certain subjects. If it's convenient, he'll go back 2 or 3 years, but then talk about the current situation if it was good for him to do so. And you kind of knew where he was going to go, right? You talk about Michael Jordan, you kind of know what he's going to say, and it's just not as, I guess I wouldn't say not as interesting because maybe it's interesting to somebody, but it's just I already know what you're gonna say. So it's like a book you've already read to a
Right.
certain degree. You already
Yep.
know the ending. You know where you're gonna go. You're gonna talk about the Tebow playoff game, um, even though that's a microcosm of his career. It's just a very small part of his career, but you're gonna harken back. I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, so that game does still hurt. But um, I know that what he's going to talk about. You talk about
Right.
Tom Brady. I know what you're going to talk about. That's probably one of the issues that him and Shannon aren't on right now. I don't know that they've said that, but that the episode where he was kind of like talking down to Shannon, telling him to put his glasses back on and all that other stuff, I was a little bit
Hmm.
disrespectful. Um, I think sometimes, and you see this with very popular DJs, there's sometimes a very popular DJ that becomes more popular than the artist they're playing. They feel like they are just as important as the artists that they're playing. You know, DJs sometimes they're playing music and they're playing the songs you like by other artists. And then the DJs, as they go on, they become the artists, you know. And I feel like with some of these sports announcers, they, I don't know if it's like they feel like they can play the game, but they start to talk in such disrespectful fashions. I don't ever want to be a guy, Eugene, who talks like I am more important than the people that I talk about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what people are tuning in to listen to. They're tuning in to listen about what the people talk about, not myself. So it's interesting. Let's go down to Skip's career a little bit here because it's been a very long one and it's lasted quite some time. We'll skip the print journalism, which was a massive part of his life, by the way. We'll kind of go to when he started on television. Now, I didn't know that he was on the Sports Reporters back in '89, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that show, The Sports Reporters?
Yeah,
That was on for quite some time.
I love that. And I think that's where, and that's probably don't remember him too much because I think, and you had a great point. Why we love PTI is because those guys, they do it every day and they still talk about it. They still think, I don't watch them like as much as I used to, but I can watch it now and it still feels like it's same as I watched it before.
Right?
Same feeling.
Same
They're
feeling.
discussing versus probably when we started watching some of these talking head shows at the first, it was about discussing, you know, a subject, whatever, football, baseball, basketball. Now, when I'm watching it, I feel like it's theater. I feel like I'm watching theater. I feel I'm watching a show. I mean, I know they got to do it every day, but it feels like it's become more like that. More like, hey, who can I? How can I be more outrageous? How can my take become just more over the top? So I start trending somewhere versus just talking about it. Versus, I think that's when I remember him on the Sports Reporter. They were just talking about it. It wasn't like outlandish. It wasn't. They were just, you know, they would have their points, and it seemed like it was more well thought out on their on their thoughts versus, like you said, now it's, hey, I'm Skip. How many times can I hate on LeBron James? You know, and then to be, you know, and how can how can I get under the skin of Shannon Sharp? Now, I'm pretty sure, a lot of it is on the production. You know, production is driving it. And
yeah, man, you want to see them argue. You want to see them find something to argue about. And
right.
yeah, LeBron James and Tom Brady are evergreen subjects for Skip. Like at some times,
Right.
it will become the Lakers, Dallas Cowboys, Tom Brady show. Like it's when you look at the segments, you know.
Yeah. So that to me, where it's come to, and I kind of stopped watching them, and that's why I like Cowherd. Cowherd has been the exact same when he was doing the podcast.
When he was doing his radio show, man, back when
Into the
Cowherd was doing
radio
radio, it's the
show.
same, right? It's the same Cowherd.
I mean, it's kind of nice that he's had some of like co-hosts and he interacts with them. But for the 80% of the show, it's still him talking about a subject, you know. And you know, again, sometimes his takes are, at least, the thing different with him is Colin is not going for a take to be like to be more be theater behind it. Like he has
trying to be more outrageous than somebody else.
Right,
the take might be outrageous, but it's not an attempt to be outrageous as some of the other takes that you may hear out here.
Like days. He's thought about his take. Like he's thought about it. Like wrong or right, he's going, look, I'm going to show you where I've come up with this take and why I'm going this way. You can agree with it or not, but I had just a little more respect versus when the Buffalo player, I can't. Is it Darmo Hamilton? Yeah. After his take on that whole thing, DeMar Hamilton. Thank you. After that, it was just like it was one of those things that was like, what are you talking about? And it's like when you read it, like I don't understand where you're coming from, and it's just, and I just look at, like I said, he's just become more theater, more, you know, like you said, trying to be like, I think you put it perfectly. He thinks he could be out there and be a better player, be a better GM, and be all these other things.
I think he can make a shot out there. I think he can throw a pass. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So yeah. And it's like, you know, it was cute 5 years ago, but I mean, you could tell me that's why I think people are starting to drifting away from those people. Like they just want to hear you talk about it. Like we don't need